Here are two video clips for which I used the iPhone 13 cinematic video mode and the Note 20 Ultra. So go ahead and comment down below which clip you think is filmed with the iPhone 13 cinematic video mode while I talk about the iPhone 13's latest cinematic video mode. Guys, you're watching WithTube, and if it's your first time here, thank you so much for clicking. Here is a review smartphones, smartwatches and all sort of tech. So if you're into tech, you must consider subscribing. At this point in time, you would have seen many videos about iPhone 13, but in this video, I'm going to talk about the cinematic video mode. For context, I'm not a professional filmmaker or photographer, but I have filmed 400 plus YouTube videos all about tech, and I'm a big fan of awesome clean B-roll shots with cinematic shallow depth of field, which would be apparent if you have watched my previous videos. Well, if you are into filming tech like me, or even if you are a vlogger or whatever your need be, in this video I want to let you know if you should spend your money on getting an iPhone 13 or the latest Samsung smartphone with the sole purpose of using only smartphone camera for making videos without any sort of mirrorless or DSLR camera. In my case, since I film tech videos, most of the footage combines close-up shots of the featured tech, and first thing first, I want the edges of the subject to be sharp and defined. Now, if you spend money on the iPhone 13 just for the cinematic video mode, then let me show you this clip. You'll instantly notice that the shallow depth of field is computational. That means it's not real, as the edges are not sharp. Especially the hairs on my forearm are the clear proof for that. Now let's take the same shot with the iPhone 12 mini that does not have this computational cinematic video mode. And you can see even the regular video mode is able to create that shallow depth of field while maintaining clear sharp edges. This is because whatever you see is from the sensor with no computational depth of field. However, since the f-stop, also known as the focal length of the iPhone 12 mini's camera, is not sufficient enough to create that classic bokeh effect, so now let's test out the Note 20 Ultra, which even has a laser autofocus sensor that basically emits laser to precisely detect how far the subject is from the sensor relative to the background. With this laser autofocus sensor, the Note 20 Ultra has more data to detect the edges of the subject. So out of all these three smartphones, clearly Note 20 Ultra has the best edge detection and shallow depth of field, and for me, the iPhone 12 mini outperforms the iPhone 13 mini's cinematic video mode. So if your goal is to have close-up shots with sharp edges and non-computational shallow depth of field, then I would suggest don't go with the cinematic video mode, as you can get by even with iPhone 12 that would cost less than iPhone 13. Plus, with that saved amount, you can get iPhone 12 Pro Max that has the sensor shift stabilization like all the iPhone 13s, and it has the LiDAR sensor, which is better than the Note 20 Ultra or the S20 Ultra's laser autofocus sensor. Another problem with the cinematic video mode is even though it supports Dolby Vision, the resolution is limited to 1080p at 30 frames per second. And in this 4K world, you want your cinematic videos to at least have 4K resolution. With all that said about the cinematic video mode, I think it's a great way to move forward, as this technology is only going to get better to a point that there won't be any ghosting of the subject's edges, especially during a dynamic shot. Now, a few interesting features of this cinematic video mode is that you can shift the focus during editing from one subject to another, which is pretty unique ability, and I can see this being very useful feature during video editing. You can do this dynamic switching of the focus from one subject to another in Note 20 Ultra or S21 Ultra, but you have to do that during filming, as you can't do that once the video is filmed. Another cool feature of this cinematic video mode is you can adjust the f-stop or the focal length and the exposure while filming. And you can even shift focus from foreground to background and vice versa. That is really cool. But despite of all these features, should you get the iPhone 13 just for the cinematic video mode? Well, my answer is no, as for the same amount you have better options. Now don't get me wrong, iPhone 13's lineup has some solid advancement, like all the iPhone 13s now has a robust sensor shift stability, which is way better than the optical image stability on Samsung smartphones, and the solid durability over other smartphones. But I did this video just to show you the limitation of the cinematic video mode, and that is why I won't be using the iPhone 13 cinematic video mode until it gets more refined. Let me know what are your thoughts about that. I have an entire playlist full of all the smartphones videos, and be sure to check it out.